Hello students, welcome back. Today we will study about Newton's second law of motion. Before getting on to Newton's second law of motion, little recap of what we have already covered. The basic conclusion in the form of flow chart. We have already covered that force can be of two types. It can be balanced. This is something which we have already seen. Or force can be unbalanced. I just want to connect what we have already studied in the form of flow chart to what we are going to study. Force can be balanced, unbalanced. Balanced means what? Where the net force on a body comes out to be zero. Means there are so many forces acting on the body, but yet the net force means they are cancelling out each other. The resultant of the forces is zero. Here the net force on the body is not zero. There is some force still acting on the body. In this situation we have again two possibilities. The first possibility is that either the body could be at rest. Body could be at rest. If the body is at rest, it will remain at rest. That is, B is zero. Or the second thing, body continues to move with constant velocity in same direction. Even the direction will not change. Are you getting? Forces could be balanced, they could be unbalanced. If we are talking about balanced forces, then the net result of all the forces acting on a body comes out to be zero. In this situation, there are two possibilities. Either the body could be at rest, means the body already at rest will remain at rest. Second situation, the body, if it is moving with some velocity, it will continue to move with same v, that is v constant, in the same direction. This is the other possibility. Now we talk about unbalanced force. If the forces are unbalanced, means there is some resultant force acting still on the body, then the body will have acceleration. This is something we need to understand. Acceleration, if the net force is not zero, then the body will have acceleration. What is acceleration? It is change in velocity upon time. It is rate of change of velocity. This is something we understand. Now when we talk about acceleration as change in velocity in time, this acceleration depends on the factors which we understand intuitively. Before going on to any statement or definition or mugging up things, we just want to put into practice what we understand intuitively, because we are designed to understand science intuitively. Acceleration is change in velocity with respect to time. It could be increase in velocity or it could be decrease in velocity. Now this acceleration depends on two factors. Now the factors on which acceleration depends, you can say, ma'am, we don't know because we haven't studied it yet. But at the same time, you can intuitively think the change in velocity will depend on what factors. Yes, suppose if a book is lying here, or if a block or a cart is lying here, then how much it will be accelerated will depend on which force. So which factor? Yes, it depends on the factor force. More force, more acceleration. Less force, less acceleration. It depends on the factor force. More force will produce more change in speed, that is increase or decrease. Second factor, suppose I have got two carts, one of mass 50 kg and the other of mass say 100 kg, and I am applying same force of 100 newtons. Here also I am applying same force of 100 newtons on both the carts. One cart is having a mass of 50 kg, the other cart is having a mass of 100 kgs. But the force which is applied on both the carts is same, that is 100 newtons. Then what do you understand intuitively? Which will have more acceleration? Which will have more acceleration? This is the same force, 100 newtons, being applied on both the carts. One is more massive, one is less massive. Then obviously we understand, if we try to apply same force on two bodies, one is very heavy, one is light, then we will be able to produce more acceleration in the lighter one. You will be finding it difficult to move a heavy body. Are you getting my point? So if I am applying same force on two bodies, the one with less mass, lighter one, you will be able to move it smoothly with more acceleration, and the one which is more massive will have less acceleration. You can say the acceleration, let us say A1, here the acceleration is A2, and A1 will be greater than A2, means the lighter one will move ahead with more acceleration, and the massive one will obviously have less acceleration. So the other factor on which acceleration depends is mass. The other factor on which acceleration depends is mass. So it is directly proportional to force. This is something I am telling all these things by intuitive knowledge. I am telling something by intuitive knowledge. So what I am saying is acceleration will depend on force, more acceleration, and less force, less acceleration. Then about mass, more mass, less acceleration, and less mass, more acceleration. This is something we know intuitively. Now we want to put it in the terms of a statement given by Newton, and he says that the rate of change of momentum of a body, delta P upon delta T. Rate of change of momentum of a body is directly proportional to the external force applied on the body. You very well know that momentum is a vector quantity, force is also a vector quantity. So we will talk about the direction also. What is this first part of the statement saying? Rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the external force applied. Means more force, more change in momentum, less force, less change in momentum. And if we put a constant for proportionality, the constant is K, and F external, the value of K is 1 in SI units. So we are getting F external is equal to delta P by delta T, where P is the momentum, P is momentum of the body. What is P? Momentum of the body. And P is nothing but mass into velocity. When I talk about change in momentum, I mean change in momentum means final momentum minus initial momentum upon the time interval. So when I talk about this, F external becomes final momentum is mass into final velocity, and initial momentum is mass into initial velocity. So taking mass common, V minus U upon T, because P final is mv, P initial is mu. So we get m common. This is E external, F external, sorry, this is m. Now final velocity minus initial velocity by time. What is this? V minus U by T is nothing but acceleration, change in velocity by time. This is something I have written here. Change in velocity by time, that is rate of change of velocity by time, or you can say change in velocity by time is nothing but acceleration. And hence we conclude that the external force applied is equal to mass into acceleration. Coming back to this thing, what we conclude? We conclude from these two things. What we conclude is acceleration is equal to F net upon m. Isn't it the same conclusion which we have derived intuitively? That is, factors on which acceleration depends. It depends on force and mass, and you can see if force is constant, then acceleration is inversely proportional to mass. This is what I was telling. If more mass is there, then the acceleration produced will be less. If mass is small, then the acceleration produced will be more. So it is inversely proportional to mass if force is constant. Now suppose if mass is constant, then acceleration is directly proportional to force. More force, more acceleration, less force, less acceleration. So this is how we can put Newton's second law in mathematical form. These both the, what you can say, this is intuitive understanding about the relation between force, mass and acceleration, and this is the mathematical understanding. This is something we know from our insight that this should be the situation, and this is something we have established mathematically. Now finally framing the what you can say statement for Newton's second law of motion. It says rate of change of momentum, that is delta p by delta t. Change in momentum means final momentum minus initial momentum of a body is directly proportional to the force applied on the body. This is the external force. This is the external force applied on the body, and I told you they are vectors. Both momentum and force are vectors. So the external force, it depends on the external force, and also the change in momentum is in the direction of applied force. The momentum changes in the direction of applied force. There are many practical situations where the Newton's second law finds its application, like lowering of hands while taking a catch by the cricketers. It is just for the cause that when they lower the hands, what they are increasing is they are increasing the time duration, and when they increase the time duration, they decrease the impact of force. We will talk about it in the connection of impulse also, but right now we can say when they take the catch without lowering the hands straight away like this, then the momentum changes all of a sudden, that is from some momentum p final, p initial, to some sudden momentum of 0. This sudden change in short duration of time exerts a lot of force on the hands of the players. But when they lower their hands, they are gradually, what they are doing is they are increasing the time duration. They are giving more and more time to the body to change its momentum from some value that is coming down gradually to the level of 0. When this changes in a good amount of time, the time is increased, then automatically the impact of force on the hands is decreased. There are many other practical applications related to Newton's second law of motion that we can see, and by now I hope you understood. Thank you.